A 6-year-old boy selling lemonade for his dying grandmother was violently shoved to the ground by a woman who wanted his spot for her yoga class, but she made one fatal mistake. 50 bikers were watching everything. Before we dive into the story, make sure to smash subscribe, because tomorrow we have an extra special story for you that will blow your mind. The morning started like any other Saturday in downtown Mesa, Arizona. 6-year-old Marcus had set up his small lemonade stand on the corner of Main and First Street at 7 a.m., just like he'd done every weekend for the past month. His handmade sign read, "Lemonade for Grandma's Medicine, 50 cents." The cardboard was decorated with crooked hearts drawn in red crayon. Marcus was small for his age, with bright brown eyes that sparkled when he smiled at potential customers. He wore his favorite dinosaur t-shirt, the one with the hole near the bottom that his mom kept threatening to throw away. But it was his lucky shirt, and he needed all the luck he could get. His grandmother, Rosa, was everything to Marcus. She was the one who taught him to ride a bike, who made him peanut butter sandwiches cut into perfect triangles, and who read him stories every night until he fell asleep. Now she lay in a hospital bed, machines beeping around her, fighting a battle against cancer that was draining not just her strength, but the family's savings. "Excuse me, young man." A shrill voice cut through the morning air like broken glass. Marcus looked up to see a woman in expensive athletic wear marching toward him. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail that seemed to stretch her face into a permanent scowl. She carried a purple yoga mat under one arm and a phone in her other hand, which she was using to record everything. "Yes, ma'am," Marcus said politely, just like Grandma Rosa had taught him. The woman, Jessica, pointed at his small folding table. "You need to move. This is where my outdoor yoga class meets every Saturday." "But I have a permit," Marcus said softly, reaching for the paper his mom had helped him get from City Hall. His small hands shook slightly as he held it up. Jessica snatched the permit from his hand so roughly that she tore the corner. "I don't care about your stupid paper. I've been holding classes here for 3 years. This is my spot." What neither of them noticed was that the Iron Riders Motorcycle Club had just pulled into the diner parking lot across the street. 50 bikers, all there for their monthly breakfast meeting, were dismounting their Harleys and stretching after their morning ride. Tank, the club's sergeant-at-arms, was the first to notice the confrontation. He was a mountain of a man, 6'5", with arms like tree trunks and a beard that reached his chest. But despite his intimidating appearance, he had the gentlest heart in the club, especially when it came to kids. "Hey, brothers," Tank called out. "You all seeing what I'm seeing?" The entire club turned to watch as Jessica continued her tirade against little Marcus. "I have paying customers arriving in 10 minutes, Jessica screamed, her face turning red. "Real adults doing real business, not some brat playing pretend." Marcus's bottom lip trembled. "I'm not playing. My grandma needs—" "I don't care what your grandma needs," Jessica interrupted. She grabbed the edge of Marcus's table and shook it violently. Cups fell over, lemonade spilled across the pavement, and his carefully counted money scattered in the wind. "No," Marcus cried out, dropping to his knees to chase the dollar bills. "That's for Grandma's medicine." Jessica laughed, actually laughed at the desperate child. "Maybe this will teach you to respect your elders." That's when she made her biggest mistake. As Marcus scrambled for his money, she placed her designer sneaker on a $5 bill he was reaching for. "Oops," she said with a cruel smile. Marcus looked up at her with tears streaming down his face. "Please, lady, I need that money. Grandma Rosa is really sick." "Not my problem, kid." She lifted her foot just enough for Marcus to grab the bill, then stomped down hard on his small fingers. Marcus screamed in pain and jerked his hand back, falling onto his side on the rough concrete. The sound of 50 motorcycle boots hitting pavement in unison was like thunder. Tank reached them first, his massive frame casting a shadow over Jessica. "Ma'am, step away from the boy." Jessica spun around, her phone still recording. "Perfect. Are you threatening me? I'm live streaming this. My followers will love seeing violent bikers threatening a yoga instructor." But Tank ignored her completely. He knelt beside Marcus with surprising gentleness. "You okay, little man? Let me see your hand." Marcus was cradling his fingers against his chest, tears still flowing. "She broke my grandma's table." "We'll fix that," Tank promised. "What's your name, buddy?" "Marcus," the boy sniffled. "Well, Marcus, I'm Tank. These are my friends." He gestured to the 49 other bikers who had formed a protective circle around them. We're going to help you, okay? Jessica's confidence began to crack. You can't just, I have a business to run. So does he, said a female biker named Phoenix. She was studying the permit that had fallen to the ground. Says here Marcus has this spot reserved every Saturday from 7 a.m. to noon, legally. That's impossible, Jessica sputtered. Lady, said Diesel, the club president, stepping forward. You just assaulted a 6-year-old child. We all saw it. You filmed it yourself. Jessica's face went pale as she realized her live stream had captured her stepping on Marcus's hand. She quickly ended the broadcast, but it was too late. Her viewers had seen everything. Tank helped Marcus to his feet. Tell us about your grandma, Marcus. The little boy wiped his nose with his sleeve. She is can-sore. The doctors give her special medicine, but it costs lots of money. Mama works 2 jobs and Daddy had to sell his truck, so I wanted to help. Cancer, Phoenix said softly, her own eyes misting. She'd lost her mother to the disease just last year. How much you made so far? Asked Rocket, the club's treasurer. Marcus's face fell. I had $23 saved, but it's all wet now. He looked at the puddles of spilled lemonade mixing with his scattered money. $23, Rocket repeated. From selling lemonade at 50 cents a cup? Marcus nodded proudly. I sold 46 cups. I kept really good count. Jessica tried to slink away, but found her path blocked by a wall of leather and denim. Going somewhere? Asked Bones, the club's enforcer. I have a class starting. Cancel it, Diesel said flatly. You're going to help clean up this mess you made. You can't make me. We're not making you do anything, Phoenix interrupted. But that video you took? My cousin works at Channel 7 News. I bet they'd love a story about a yoga instructor assaulting a 6-year-old, raising money for his grandmother's cancer treatment. What happened next will shock you, change this story completely, and show why sometimes justice comes on 2 wheels. Stay tuned to see what happens next. If you're enjoying the story, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Jessica's phone began buzzing non-stop. Her live stream viewers, horrified by what they'd witnessed, were flooding her social media with angry comments. Her yoga business page was getting review bombed. 3 clients had already texted to cancel their memberships. Wait, Jessica cried out. I'll pay for the damaged stuff. Money ain't gonna fix what you did to this boy, Tank said, still kneeling protectively beside Marcus. You crushed more than his fingers. You tried to crush his spirit. Marcus tugged on Tank's leather vest. It's okay, mister. I can start over. Mama says roses are tough. That broke something in every biker there. This tiny child, after being bullied and hurt, was ready to forgive and start over. No, little warrior, Diesel said. You're not starting over. You're starting bigger. He turned to his club. Iron Riders, what do we do when someone messes with a kid? We ride, 50 voices roared in unison. Jessica shrank back against a lamppost. Ride? What does that mean? She was about to find out. Within minutes, the bikers had completely transformed the corner. They used their bikes to create a protective barrier around Marcus's lemonade stand area. Phoenix and 3 other women riders went to the nearby grocery store and came back with supplies. New cups, fresh lemons, sugar, ice, and a proper cash box. Tank and several others used tools from their bikes to repair and reinforce Marcus's broken table. They added weight to the legs so it wouldn't tip, attached a new umbrella for shade, and even installed cup holders on the sides. But the real magic was what happened with Marcus's sign. An artist in the club named Sketch pulled out his supplies and created a professional-looking banner. Marcus's Lemonade, supporting Grandma Rosa's fight against cancer. Now, Diesel announced loud enough for the growing crowd to hear, Iron Riders buy lemonade. One by one, each biker approached Marcus's rebuilt stand. But instead of asking for 1 cup, they did something extraordinary. I'll take 10 cups, Tank said, slapping down a $20 bill. Keep the change for Grandma Rosa. Make it 20 cups for me, Phoenix added, putting down $40. Marcus's eyes grew wider with each order. His hand, now wrapped in a bandage Phoenix had applied with the gentleness of a mother, shook as he tried to pour cups fast enough. You don't have to drink all of them, Marcus said, worried. That's too much lemonade. Then we'll share with everyone, Diesel laughed and began handing cups to the crowd that had gathered to watch. Jessica, still pressed against the lamppost, watched her phone continue to blow up with notifications. Her yoga class members were arriving, but stopping to buy lemonade from Marcus instead of looking for her. "Jessica?" one of her students called out. "Is it true what they're saying online? Did you really hurt this little boy?" Before Jessica could answer, a police car pulled up. Officer Martinez, a veteran cop who knew the Iron Riders well, stepped out and surveyed the scene. "Got multiple calls about an assault on a minor," he said. "Also something about a permit dispute?" "No dispute, officer," Phoenix said, showing him Marcus's permit. "The assault, however." She pointed to the security camera on the diner across the street. That caught everything. Plus, the perpetrator filmed herself doing it. Jessica's face crumbled. "It was an accident. I didn't mean to step on his hand." "You told him it would teach him to respect his elders," said an elderly woman who had been passing by earlier. "I saw the whole thing. This sweet boy was just trying to help his sick grandma." Officer Martinez looked at Marcus, noticed his bandaged hand, then looked at Jessica. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me." "For what?" Jessica screeched. "Assault on a minor, disturbing the peace, and harassment for starters," the officer replied. "The district attorney can decide if there's more." As Jessica was placed in the police car, still protesting, something beautiful began happening at Marcus's stand. Word had spread through social media, the very same platforms Jessica had used to live-stream her cruelty. People began arriving from all over the city. A local news van pulled up. The reporter, Maria Santos, approached carefully, aware of the protective wall of bikers around Marcus. "It's okay," Diesel told her, "but you talk to the boy's mother first." As if on cue, a beat-up Honda Civic screeched to a halt nearby. A woman in hospital scrubs practically flew out of the driver's seat. "Marcus, baby, are you okay?" "Mama!" Marcus ran to his mother, who scooped him up in a fierce hug. "The mean lady broke my table, but these nice people fixed it. And look!" He showed her the growing pile of money in his cash box. Marcus's mother, Elena, looked at the bikers with tears in her eyes. "I don't understand. Who are you people?" "Just some folks who don't like seeing kids get pushed around," Tank said simply. "Your boy's got a good heart, ma'am. He told us about Rosa." Elena's composure finally cracked. She's my mother. The treatments are so expensive. Insurance covers some, but not the new experimental drug that might save her. We need $10,000 just to start." "How much you got so far?" Phoenix asked gently. "About 2,000, Elena admitted. "Marcus here insisted on helping. I told him he didn't need to, but I want to help Grandma Rosa," Marcus said firmly. "She would help me." The news reporter had been recording this exchange. She turned to her cameraman. "We're going live." Within an hour, Marcus's story was spreading across the internet like wildfire. But it wasn't just a story about a mean woman attacking a child anymore. It had become a story about community, about kindness, about 50 tough bikers who became guardian angels for a little boy with a lemonade stand. "Ma'am," Diesel addressed Elena, "would you be opposed to us helping out a bit more?" I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Phoenix urged. "Let us help your family like we wish someone had helped ours when we needed it." Elena nodded, unable to speak through her tears. What happened next was something nobody could have predicted. Diesel made a phone call to the other chapters of Iron Riders across the state. Within 2 hours, over 200 bikers had descended on that little corner in Mesa. But they didn't come empty-handed. They brought grills, coolers, speakers, and musical instruments. Marcus's simple lemonade stand had become the center of an impromptu charity event. "Marcus's Ride for Rosa," sketch painted on a massive banner that the bikers hung across the street. Local businesses, shamed by the contrast between Jessica's cruelty and the bikers' kindness, began contributing. The pizza place donated 50 pizzas. The hardware store brought new tables and chairs. The grocery store provided hundreds of cups of lemonade supplies. Marcus stood in the middle of it all, eyes wide with wonder. Tank had given him an honorary Iron Riders patch that read, "Smallest member, biggest heart." "Mr. Tank?" Marcus tugged on the big man's vest again. "Why are you all being so nice to me?" Tank knelt down to Marcus's level. His eyes, usually hard as steel, were soft. "You know what, little man? Sometimes the world shows you its ugly side, like that mean lady who hurt you, but that's when good people need to stand up and show that there's more love than hate out there." "Like superheroes?" Marcus asked. "Exactly like superheroes," Tank grinned, "but our capes are made of leather." The event continued to grow. A local band showed up and started playing. Food trucks arrived and donated their profits. People who had never spoken to a biker in their lives found themselves sharing stories and laughter with the Iron Riders. Elena was approached by Maria, the news reporter. "Mrs. Rodriguez, how does it feel to see all this support for your family?" "I can't," Elena's voice broke. "My mother, Rosa, she always told us that angels come in all forms. I never imagined they'd come riding Harleys." By evening, the corner of Main and First had been transformed into a full festival. City officials, initially worried about such a large gathering, had instead closed the streets and sanctioned it as an official charity event. Marcus, despite being exhausted, refused to leave his lemonade stand. He personally thanked every single person who donated, his small voice carrying a gravity beyond his years. "Thank you for helping my Grandma Rosa," he said over and over, meaning every word. As the sun began to set, Diesel called for attention. The crowd of now over 1,000 people grew quiet. "Ladies and gentlemen," Diesel's voice boomed without need for a microphone. "Today we witnessed something ugly. A grown woman attacked a child for the crime of trying to help his sick grandmother." Boos erupted from the crowd. "But we also witnessed something beautiful," he continued. "We saw a community come together. We saw strangers become friends. We saw love defeat hate. And we saw a 6-year-old boy remind us all what real courage looks like." He gestured to Marcus, who was sitting on Tank's shoulders. "Marcus, come here, son." Tank carried Marcus to where Diesel stood. The club president pulled out an envelope. "The Iron Riders took up a collection," Diesel announced. "Every chapter in the state contributed. Local businesses matched our donations, and hundreds of you gave what you could." He turned to Elena. "Ma'am, this is for Rosa's treatment." Elena accepted the envelope with shaking hands. When she opened it, she nearly collapsed. Phoenix steadied her as she read the check inside. $50,000, she gasped. The crowd erupted in cheers. Marcus, not fully understanding the amount but knowing it was good, threw his little arms around Diesel's neck. "Thank you, Mr. Diesel. Grandma Rosa's going to get better now." But the story wasn't over. As the celebration continued, a black SUV pulled up. An elderly woman was helped out by a nurse. She moved slowly, clearly weak, but her eyes were bright with determination. "Grandma Rosa!" Marcus screamed, practically flying off Tank's shoulders to run to her. "Mijo," Rosa whispered, catching her grandson in a careful hug. "I heard what you did, what all of you did." She looked around at the bikers, the crowd, the banner with her name on it. Tears streamed down her weathered face. "I had to come," she said to Elena. "The nurses tried to stop me, but I told them angels were calling." Tank helped support Rosa as she made her way through the crowd. Each biker she passed nodded respectfully. When she reached Diesel, she took his rough, tattooed hand in her frail one. "Thank you," she said simply, "for protecting my boy, for giving me hope." "No, ma'am," Diesel replied, his own voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for raising a grandson brave enough to stand up for what's right, to fight for someone he loves." As if orchestrated by fate itself, Jessica was driven past in the police car at that moment, being transferred to county jail. She saw the massive crowd, the celebration, the love surrounding the boy she had tried to crush. The last thing she glimpsed was Marcus, safe in his grandmother's arms, surrounded by 200 guardian angels in leather. The event made national news. "Bikers turned bullying into blessing," read headlines across the country. Marcus's story inspired similar fundraisers in dozens of cities. The Iron Riders became famous for their community protection programs. Jessica, facing serious assault charges and social media destruction, eventually pled guilty. She was sentenced to community service. Specifically, she had to work at children's cancer wards for 500 hours. The judge, who had seen the video, told her maybe she'd learn compassion. 6 months later, Rosa rang the bell at the cancer center, signaling the end of her successful treatment. The experimental drug, funded by that magical Saturday, had worked. She stood strong, holding Marcus's hand as 200 bikers revved their engines in celebration outside. Marcus still sells lemonade on Saturdays, but now he's never alone. There's always at least one Iron Rider nearby, keeping watch. His stand has a permanent professional setup, donated by the club. And his prices? Still 50 cents, because Marcus says everyone should be able to afford lemonade. Tank became Marcus's official big brother through the mentorship program. He teaches the boy about motorcycles, but more importantly, about standing up for others who can't stand up for themselves. Phoenix started a program called Rose's Warriors, bikers who patrol areas where kids might need protection. They've prevented dozens of incidents simply by being present. And Diesel. He keeps a photo in his wallet, Marcus on Tank's shoulders, surrounded by leather-clad angels, with Grandma Rosa smiling in the background. Whenever someone asks why tough bikers would help a kid with a lemonade stand, he shows them that picture. Because, Diesel always says, sometimes the smallest among us teach us what real strength looks like, and sometimes it takes a child's courage to remind warriors what they're fighting for. The corner of Main and First now has a permanent plaque. It reads, "On this spot, a 6-year-old boy's love for his grandmother brought a community together and proved that angels really do ride Harleys." Marcus, now 7, still wears his smallest member, biggest heart patch proudly. He's already planning next. Summer's lemonade stand. But now he knows he'll never stand alone. Because once you're family with the Iron Riders, you're family forever. And family protects family, no matter how small. That's the end of our incredible story. If it touched your heart like it touched mine, please hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. You'll see 2 more amazing stories on your screen right now. Click on either one to continue this journey with us. Remember, sometimes heroes come in unexpected packages, whether it's a 6-year-old with a lemonade stand or bikers with hearts of gold.